Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of On the Field, Off the Field, a podcast presented to you by Ashe Sports LLC. And I am your host, G Watts, aka The Voice, coming to you from my home base in Blythewood, South Carolina. I am also the owner of Ashe Sports LLC. And before we get started, just a little bit more about Ashe Sports. We are a sports consulting firm who looks to assist athletes and sport managers with navigating through a lot of the rigorous but also exciting processes that come with having a career in the sports industry. So if you feel like you can use some assistance in that particular area, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to sit down with you to see if we would be a good fit to work with you. All right. So to get started, just want to let you know that the MLB baseball season is picking up speed and they're picking up speed. They completed their spring training several weeks ago and they kicked off their season playing in Japan this year. And now they are several weeks into the long 162 game regular season. So baseball fans, gear up, get ready. As you know, this is America's favorite pastime. Um, and we'll see you in the playoffs. All right, jumping into college basketball on the men's side, the University of Florida defeated the University of Houston to win a third national title. And on the women's side, the University of Connecticut defeated the University of South Carolina to win their 12th national title. So, congratulations to both of those teams there. Speaking of the Lady Gamecocks, one notable story to keep an eye on is that South Carolina guard Malaysia Fulwiley may be entering the transfer portal. It's only been speculation. I read an article that said sources that are close to Full Wally have stated that she will be entering the transfer portal. But I think this is one of those situations where we're going to have to sit back and wait and kind of see how it unfolds in the offseason. All right. I think me, as well as other fans, we on the outside, we're looking in. We can speculate all we want to, but, we really can't, kind of call what's going on behind closed doors in the locker room. So this definitely going to be interesting to see. All right. Tonight, April 14th at 7:30, it is the WNBA Draft. Um, and of course, we know that with the number one pick, the Dallas Wings will be looking to select Paige Buckners from UConn. If they don't, then I think a lot of individuals from that organization will lose their jobs. But following up behind that number one pick, though, looking at the number two pick, the Seattle Storm will be looking to select Dominique Malonga from France, who is a 6'6" center. With the number three and the number four picks, the Washington Mystics will be looking to select Kiki Arifin from USC, and that's the USC Trojans. And they will also be looking to select Sonia Citron from the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. All right. With the number five pick, the Golden State Valkyries will be looking to select Anisha Moore from the LSU Tigers. With the number six pick, the Washington Mystics hit the trifecta and will be looking to select Cheyenne Sellers from Maryland. With the number seven and the number eight picks, the Connecticut Sun will look to select Aja Sivka from Slovenia and also Isaiah James from North Carolina State, respectively. Isaiah James is definitely a great guard. I'm excited to see what she will do on the WNBA level. With the number nine pick, the Los Angeles Sparks will be looking to select Georgia Amore out of Kentucky. And with the number 10 pick, the Chicago Sky will be looking to take another Lady Gamecock and Sanaya Fagan. And as we know, notable Lady Gamecocks that came before Sanaya, who was drafted, include Aaliyah Boston and Camila Cardosa. And I believe Camila Cardosa actually plays for the Chicago Sky. So that's going to be very interesting to see how they mesh together. If Sanaya picks up on the speed of the WNBA. All right. And that was only the top 10, but looks like with the number 11 pick, the Chicago Sky has another selection, and with that one, it is mocked that they will select Haley Van Lith from TCU. She was a pretty decent guard. I just wish she didn't jump schools as much as she did throughout her career. She went from Louisville to LSU to TCU. I think she still kind of stayed consistent, but I don't, I think that kind of lowered her draft stock. I believe she could have been higher up in this draft in 2025. So, but definitely going to be exciting to check out the WNBA draft tonight. Everyone tune into that. All right, jumping into the NFL. big story going around. As everyone, I mean, if you don't know, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, so a big story going around right now is the issue that is occurring with Tyreek Hill. Sad to say that they, stated the police were called to his house again for another domestic violence incident. Also, there are stories reporting that his wife filed for divorce. So Tyreek has a lot going on in his personal life right now. I don't know if that's going to affect his ability to perform on the field. One thing, though, is a lot of rumors are circulating that the organization will be looking to trade Tyreek. Um, I mean, I'm 50-50 on that. I kind of see that happening, but also being Miami and the leadership that is currently at our organization. I mean, he might still be in Miami. I really think that not only do we need to change the personnel on the field, but we definitely need to change the personnel off the field as well. We definitely need a lot more structure and organization in the Miami Dolphins than we had in the past, because we always look good on paper, but we never seem to show up when, on the field when needed. We haven't won a playoff game in 23 years. That definitely don't sit well with me as a fan. So, like I say, I think that a lot needs to happen in Miami. A lot of changes need to happen in Miami for us to get back on the right track. But one thing with this particular Tyreek Hill situation, athletes, this is just a perfect example of how you want to try to do your best to maintain, brand equity, or maintain integrity in your brand, because you don't want to be an athlete, who kind of is in the media for the wrong reasons. That's one reason why I do my job. I want to be there to help guide these athletes to steer them away from these particular situations. I'm not perfect. I wasn't perfect, but in my growth, I feel like, I have the knowledge and expertise to, kind of, give better guidance to these individuals or to these athletes. And like I said, just help them make more sustainable decisions for their career and for their lives. So definitely sad to see that particular incident occur. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Tyreek Hill got traded. That's definitely going to be interesting to see in the NFL. Another bit of news coming out of Miami. I just saw this today. It says that Tua Tagovailoa is selling his house in Miami. Now that it could be cryptic, it could be nothing. He could be just selling that house to get another house. He could be downsizing. He could be upsizing. But I mean, the article stated that he doesn't have any other potential houses that he's looking at. Basically, he hasn't basically put an offer in, or he, I guess purchased another house. So that's very cryptic to say. Did they tell him something? Will he be in Miami this year? I'm not sure. Another one of those stories that we're just going to have to sit back, relax, and watch unfold as we go. All right. The NFL draft is coming up April 24th through the 26th. That's going to be a big day. I'm pretty sure we'll find out kind of what's going on in Miami as well as with other teams. I'm pretty sure there are going to be a lot of trades kind of going on during that particular time. And it's going to be interesting to see kind of, what players go where coming out of college, and what teams land the best talent to help them grow. Um, Now, kind of speaking of the NFL draft, another story that came up was involving Kyren Lacy, former wide receiver for LSU. Definitely a sad story. It looks like he took his own life. Um, and it was crazy to hear that. I heard Lacey's name. I'm pretty sure I saw him on the field out there, this past season. But to kind of hear that, it's definitely crazy. Now more details came out about him. Said that he had an altercation with a family member that involved a firearm, and then obviously he left cops. He took the cops on the chase, and they found him after the chase with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So obviously there's a lot going on there. But the biggest thing is, and I've seen a lot of posts, a lot of people who's talking about it on social media, but mental health, and I think his dad even said it, but mental health is real. Um, especially, especially with athletes who play in these type of sports, especially football. CTE is real. Depression is real. Alcoholism is real when it comes, drug use is real when it comes to um, a lot of these athletes who, compete on a high level or on a pro level, and they either, either see their career come to an end before they wanted it to, or, they had a stellar career, it comes to an end, but they still can't sustain after that and post career management. And in this particular case, a young guy who didn't even start his pro career was highly touted to make it on the pro level, but well, I'm pretty sure like a lot, even probably his family doesn't know what was going on mentally for him to kind of do that. Now, I did hear that there was another incident where there was an accident where an individual was killed that involved Kyren Lacy, and he was facing a jury on Monday, actually today. I'm not sure if that played a particular role, but the biggest thing, the the biggest point or takeaway is mental health is real. Um, if you feel like you got to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. Me, I tell people all the time. I went through a deep depression after I stopped playing football. The way that I left playing college football, how it all kind of happened. I went through a deep depression. It was hard to kind of come out of that depression, and even when I did, I was kind of still not where I wanted to be in life. I felt like I let it drag me down to a point where I had to climb out a real deep hole. And it was hard to talk to people. I didn't want, didn't want to seem weak. I was just a athlete playing on ESPN, and now, I feel like I'm nothing. Not granted, I have my family. I actually have my first son. Like, I'm very happy to have them, but mentally, it was hard to fathom. So I'm, thankful that I was able to kind of stay strong through a lot of dark times and dark moments, and be where I am today. So I mean, that's why I push so hard to try to make my business work, to try to make it in life, because I know where I came from, I know what I went through. So it don't matter how perfect or how bad something is that I do, in regards to my business, or just in life. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep trying to get better at what I need to do to get where I need to be. So definitely my prayers and condolences goes out to Kyren Lacy's family and friends. Definitely a sad story. So we'll be seeing updates from that in the coming weeks and months. I'm pretty sure. So all right. And to top it all off, we'll close out with some NBA news. As we know, the play-ins are here. The play-ins are here, um, and my Miami Heat. As you know, I'm a Miami fan. My Miami Heat will be playing the Chicago Bulls. As I told one of my coworkers, I'm not pretty, I don't know. I'm not that gun ho on that particular game, because I feel like yeah, I know we're a young team. I know we went through some changes recently, but the Heat sometimes are like the Dolphins, where we look good on paper, but we can't seem to pull out a win when we really need it. So we're going to see how this turns out. And let me not knock the Heat. Let me give them their credit, because I believe what I forgot what year it was. We were like the 8th seed or the 10th seed or something like that, and we can't. It might have been a year ago, 2 years ago. And we made it deep in the playoffs. I think we was like A seed, and we made it to the finals one year. Like the organization, I think, is strong. Pat Riley, has a good grip on that particular organization. Spoelstra has a good grip on the personnel and the staff. Um, so, but I'm not too, hyped on saying, hey, yo, we're going to take this one, because the Bulls, they do have a solid team as well. Not looking at their record, they do have a pretty good team. So, other than that, you're looking at the Magic and the Hawks. You're looking at the Grizzlies and the Warriors. You're looking at the Mavericks and the Kings. We got 2 games tomorrow, 2 games on Wednesday. So definitely, I mean, I know y'all going to be tuned in, because I'll be looking to be tuned in too. If I don't tune in for the season, best believe I'm going to tune in for the playoffs. All right. Got to tune in for the playoffs. Um, and to wrap it up, still being in the NBA, this is another, this is one of those examples of, how I want to assist athletes with making sustainable decisions. And I'm not gonna knock the man. I'm not gonna knock him too much. Hey, they These guys are professionals. They live life, and it wasn't really that crazy of a situation. It wasn't nothing violent. It wasn't nothing, traumatic or nothing like that. But Anthony Edwards, and I know everybody's has heard the story of what's going on with Anthony Edwards and his child support case with a young woman who has his 5-month-old daughter. So it's like, I guess they look to settle. He looked to settle the case. I think paying her about $1 million, if I'm not mistaken. But my thing is like, yo, like, wrap it up. Come on, man. Y'all make millions of dollars. Wrap it up. Don't just be out there just living willy nilly, man. And I ain't knocking the girl too, but there are women out there who target you guys or target athletes to get you pregnant, to put you in these particular positions so they can get paid. Sad to say. And then of course athletes, especially young athletes, these guys are not thinking. They think, as they say, they think with the wrong head. And I ain't knocking them now. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I could have made the same type of moves or mistakes as a young athlete if I made it to the pro level as well. I'm not too sure if I would have, but there was a high possibility that I could have. So I can't knock you out too much, but that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like athletes need a strong support system behind them to kind of instill that knowledge and guidance in them before they get to these particular positions to say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. You're beautiful. You look great. Hey, you talk a good game, and but I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. You know what I mean? And even if like I said, I don't want to knock the girl. I don't want I don't know if I ain't trying to say she trapped him, nothing like that. Looks like she had her own money before Anthony Edwards, but the biggest thing for a lot of you athletes, man, please be mindful of what you're doing in your personal life, and that's not just with women. That's just all the way around. Look at the Ja Morant situation. All right, and even more recently, got fined. Ja Morant got fined for throwing up gun signs in the game, and that's after coming off that whole situation with the gun in the club. Who's talking to these guys? You know what I mean? Not saying you got to control these guys, but at the end of the day, they have to have somebody in their ear that they can respect what they're saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they have to have somebody in their corner who they respect, who they will listen to when that person gives them guidance or insight. Because now look at this. Now, okay, Anthony Edwards, you continue this, right? Boom. All right, you have 5, 6 more kids. You know what I mean? Throughout your career, it's cool. Yeah, I pay them child support because because I'm making that. I'm making whatever in my contract. Making 50 mil, 60 mil, whatever, 100 mil, whatever. But when your career is over, if you have not set yourself up financially, if you have not established, hey, this is what I'm going to do as a career, and even if you do, it better be a hell of a career, because now you go from making millions, 50 to 60 million, to you might be potentially making 100 to 200,000 a year. So it's like once that happens, and now you got 6, 7, 8, 9 kids, and you got to pay child support for them, but you're not making those millions that you were making. Next thing you know, you'll see an athlete file bankruptcy. How many times have we seen it? I'm pretty sure I could pull examples. I'm not going to do it right now because I'm trying to jump off here. But I'm pretty sure I can find examples of athletes who, file bankruptcy stating that they can't pay child support because it's just too much. As we know, and I talked about it on other episodes when I first kind of started the podcast about Clinton Portis. Guys like him, Big Baby Williams, Terrence Williams, Sebastian Telfair, notable players who played in the NBA and the NFL who engaged in a healthcare fraud scheme to get money. Why? Because they weren't making the same type of money that they were in the league. You know what I mean? It's all online. You can look a lot of these guys up. They'll tell you why they did it, because they was making X. They couldn't afford this. They couldn't afford that. They was making X amount of money a month, and it definitely wasn't what they was making when they were pro players. So why would you put yourself in a position to just be throwing your money away? Because you're gonna be like, oh well, and having a baby is beautiful, man. Having a child is beautiful when you have it with the right person. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely going to be a beautiful experience. You know what I mean? But why would you just throw money away to say, hey, I'm gonna have a baby and just let her take care of the baby? Baby gonna grow up without no real, without you as the father. Unless you're trying to be there. But hey, I'm gonna just $1 million here, $1 million there. I forgot how much Kanye was paying. Kanye's paying Kim K astronomical amount per month. But guess what that means? Kanye, hey, he better make some more albums. He better produce some more music. He better collaborate with somebody. He better get his brand going. He better sell some more Yeezys. He better do this. He better do that. But when Anthony Edwards is 40 years old, 45 years old, and he can't play in the league no more, and he, I mean, is he gonna be an analyst? Who knows? Is he gonna be a basketball coach? Who knows? But I mean, bro, like honestly, bro, like I can't tell you, like, bro, you got to be making millions to sustain after that career. You know what I mean? So say if you're paying, per year, you're paying $1 million per year in child support for 9 kids. So it's like, how you gonna afford that at 45 and you only making 200,000 a year? You know what I mean? Not every player goes on to be an analyst. Not every player goes on to start their own business like that. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's a lot of example of a lot of players who have mismanaged their money. And like I said, I can't say I'm perfect. I can't say I'm perfect. But the thing is, though, man, I never got to that point where I was able to make those millions and be able to have that cushion, that breathing room to even save and do this and do that. You know what I mean? So I want to be able to teach these guys. I want to be able to tell these guys and instill in these guys, provide them with financial education of how to manage their money. So once their career is up, they can still live like they're playing basketball. You know what I mean? And I mean, my bag, I got a little hype there because, like I said, man, stuff like that kind of, it kind of irks me. I won't even lie to you. But like I said, man, he's grown. My advice is, man, just wrap it up, man. Don't just have a kid and say, hey, I'm gonna just pay to make it go away. It's not right for a couple reasons. You know what I'm saying? It's not right for a couple reasons. So definitely be smart, not just Anthony Edwards, other athletes as well. Be smart, man. Be smart about it, man. So, but that's all I got for you today, man. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of On the Field, Off the Field. Hope to be back soon with more content, more information for you. Each and every time, I just look to get better. Appreciate you supporting me. And y'all take care. Peace out.